For people who view, I guess, people who worship Jesus, and they hear the word like, the Christians always say, you got to surrender to Jesus. Before I was saved, I used to hear that and think like, that sounds ridiculous. You guys are just living in your own bubble. And from the perspective that I was at, it kind of from that perspective it made sense. And now looking at it from this perspective, I can understand why I thought that way. And it's because surrendering, like it's like, how do you surrender to Jesus? And it's like you can't like surrender really like intentionally surrender to him. It's because like arrogance really gets in the way. And arrogance is you can just call the arrogance the prince, right? It's the side inside of you that just like refuses to like submit, just to believe that like that like you're really not that significant. I mean, you're significant in the eyes of the Lord. He loves you, but in the eyes of like humans and like in the eyes of the prince, you're really not significant. You try to be and you pretend to be, but the truth, you play all the games you want, but that's just how. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. We'll just skip that part. So surrender, like how it happened for me, how the surrendering process happened for me, is more of like a submitting process. It was like I spent like 8 years mentally ill, like believing that I wasn't mentally ill, fighting against arrogance, like fighting against like challenging my fears. Like in my mind, I was mad, like I was insane. Like I looked at the world and I was like, I can't stand the way the world is, and I needed a release somehow. But I didn't want to release it in an evil way. So I looked for an outlet. I looked for an outlet in fear. So I found social situations that like brought like fearful situations like out of me, like maybe like doing something that appeared crazy in front of someone, and I'd just do it, and then eventually I started like being able to just do whatever I wanted around people, and I had this sense of freedom. And over time like I took that to such a degree, like I believed I was God, and through this entire process, Jesus was sitting on the sidelines like, this guy's like a total idiot. He was with me, of course, but I believe he was waiting for his opportunity, his opportunity to rescue me. I think he wanted me to learn this way, because he could use me more effectively if I fought with the prince more, because it would increase my love for him when he finally started pruning the branches and directing the energy in the right direction with a purpose. But eventually I got to the point where I realized like there's nothing. When I was facing the prince, and like I believed I could do it all on my own, and like no one knew, like I was the only way, like I was God, like no one can understand me, I'm better than everyone else. I reached a point where I was like, this is all meaningless, this is all like, this is all, what's the point? You know, there's no point. The world is like empty. It's a complete empty world. It's all filled with pain, and people just play these roles, and no one understands. And then once I got to the point where I snapped, and I realized that I came back, and Jesus cut my wings, and then Jesus left me, and then I gave up on trying to play God, and I realized I started becoming the person that I didn't want to be. You know, I started like selling my soul, you know, and all that 8 years of going through all that pain and that madness, trying to overcome and trying to free myself from like the chains of society and the chains of the world, like all of that like was a waste. And then like I'm just gonna become a regular, ordinary citizen who just grinds for like, you know, little piece of, you know, I don't know, like little piece of meat, you know, thrown in, you know, like a chicken. It's fed like, you know, like whatever it's fed. But then Jesus came once I finally accepted it, and Jesus is like, all right, now just take all that madness, take all that passion, take all that love, and take all that freedom, and take all that fearlessness, and work under me. You know, don't do anything that you want to do anymore. Do everything that I want to do. I want you to do. Live for me. Live to create the kingdom that I built when I was living on this planet as a human. When I created the kingdom when I was a human, and when I rose as a God. You are just a servant now. You are an ant, and you are going to use your uniqueness to expand my godliness and my kingdom. And pretty much that was what surrendering was. That was my view of what surrendering is. So anyone who doesn't understand what surrendering is, or submitting to God is, that's just my point of view from before and after. You know, you can still disagree, you know, whatever. It's a hard process, because in order to surrender, you got to like go to war with yourself, you know, and it hurts. You know, it really hurts. I mean, it's not a fun process. It's in reality, like, you know, you gotta go to hell. You gotta walk through hell and somehow get lucky and survive, pretty much. At least that's how it was for me. I was very lucky. But anyway, that's my video for today. I love you guys, and don't be afraid of those wolves. All right, hold fast to Jesus. He's there on the front lines with his sword. He'll cut their heads off. Anyway, amen. Love you. Peace.